Hello, everybody. Welcome back to a special episode of LoanOfficerPodcast.com. We're here with Todd Bookspan. Todd, welcome to the show again.
Chris, it's great to be back. I'm super fired up to have a conversation. Here we are, getting ready. We're Q2 of 2026 already, and the market's got a little fire to it. Even with the recent kind of quote unquote spike in rates, it's fun to hear people having their best months they've had in few years.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And we're seeing that on our side. Volumes are up within organizations, and we're seeing independent producers that were just stuck at like, I got 2 loans a month, I got 3 loans a month. And now it's back to the five, six, sevens. We're seeing some tens, which is it's just fantastic. So what that means in my mind is it's super important to get dialed in on process, getting organized, because we all know when the market turns, it's easy to let your foot off the gas, maybe, of some of those activities that have been really necessary in order to bring in the loans, to being like, oh, the market's turned, maybe I'll take my foot off the gas. So, what are you coaching right now to help loan officers get that momentum, get even more of it, and close more deals?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is because we had more time because we weren't as busy
Yep.
doing the right activities, we filled up that with busyness, right? With things that necessarily weren't the priorities that we need to refocus on in a market like now. And one of the things that I've always gotten the most feedback about when I have taught Win by Noon, now for gosh, the last 8+ years, was really this whole idea of being better at saying no, right? Most people who are, if you're familiar with DISC, like a high I, we've got lots of high I's in the sales world, and high I's love to say yes. And and we also feel like if we're trying to sell, that we also have to say yes more than we probably should. And it was kind of interesting. I was recently listening to a podcast where Cal Newport, who wrote the book Deep Work and Break Up with Your Email, and he's really a process-driven guy. And he said something that kind of reframed it for me. He said that his new default answer is no longer yes, his new default is no.
Huh.
And I thought, you know what? That's a different way to look at it because, I kind of always heard the people who are like, it's either got to be a hell yeah or a no. But really it's people I think have always been looking for a reason to say no. And Cal flipped it and said, hey, I'm looking for a reason to say yes, because we all have so many good opportunities. And so I think really to do that, a couple things have to be crystal clear in your mind. Number one is you have to be certain about the activities that you should be doing. Like what is, you have to have that filter. Like what is it I have to do? And we're talking to loan officers here and we know what we have to do. We've got to prospect, right? We got to follow up on our leads. We got to prospect for new real estate agent relationships or other verticals if you're going after, the traditional CPA, financial advisors, divorce attorneys, that kind of thing. We've got to be really good and have time scheduled to do our loan work, the busy work, if we don't have an assistant or a process to help us, do that. And then just the other things that, I think a lot of coaching programs talk about, what are those, quote unquote, you might call them theme days. I call them target day activities that you should just systematize so that you get it done. And then of course, again, I wear this logo all the time that says Win by Noon. And I think the bottom line is you got to, A, be crystal clear on those things you have to do. B, you have to really kind of think about how can I systematize it by putting it in tight little windows where I do certain things on certain days, versus also what are the things I have to do every day. And then, lastly is you got to do it before you get distracted by everything else. Because the bottom line is that most people, 80% are early morning or morning people, meaning you've just got more energy to get things done.
Yep.
And what happens is we typically just react to everyone else's priorities before we actually get busy on our own stuff. And so, bottom line is you have to be better at saying no, and that's I think really where to start. And so I think maybe look at your busyness and see are there things you're allowing to creep in that you shouldn't.
That's amazing. And so we do a ton of here's what to do. You've got your database, you've got your past referral partners, new referral partners. You mentioned CPAs, financial planners, like adding outbound activities to all those people, deals in process. Like there's so much low-hanging fruit in just the things that you need to schedule and focus your attention on. But we talk very little about what to eliminate. Like, what are the things as a loan officer you should be looking for to get rid of so that you have the time to do those success activities? So, can you give me an example, Todd, of something that you see a loan officer getting rid of that's had a really positive effect on their business?
Yeah, it's going to sound really dumb, but the first thing to do is go into your email and set up rules. There's so
Oh,
many emails that you get that you're like, oh, it only takes me a second to click,
right,
delete on, but you're getting updates depending on what channel you're in. You could be getting dozens of, hey, the rate sheet is out emails,
right.
which it is important. It's not important. They're coming out every morning, and whether it comes out at 8 or 8:15 or 8:30 doesn't really matter. And so you should have a rule that when, Bob Smith at the lock desk sends out the email that says rates are out, that goes into your trash because you don't need to really know that. They're going to come out about the same time every day. There's just so many things that you get in your email that you haven't unsubscribed to or you haven't created a rule for, that's just crazy. And then the other part is just set up folders, right? So I literally by default set everything up to go into deleted. But then there's going to be the things you might want to have access to in the future. The new loan program. So right when you get a MI rep, a loan rep, someone sending you something or your corporate people, hey, we got this new, bank statement loan. Great. Set up when that type of email comes in, it goes into a loan folder, and then you're like, okay, what is the time of week where I might just spend 15 minutes reviewing what new products are out, and then put
Yeah.
that in your calendar and go back and do it. But I think email is probably the biggest time suck that most people have, and that's really where I'd start.
And I love the hidden tip in there is the time blocking of set 15 minutes at a certain time during the week to do that specific task. I mean, that's so powerful.
Well, it's important, right? If you're going to be great at your job, you need to understand what's changing and what products are out there. But the problem is you get the email and then you do one of two things. You either say, "Oh, that's important. I'm going to read it later." So it's fills up your box, and now all of a sudden you've got 77 emails that are sitting there that you're like, oh, at some point I'm going to do something with those.
Yep.
Or you actually read it right then when it's not really the best time for you to spend the 10 minutes to learn about that new HELOC that you got that's super cool. But you can just set up a time where you say, gosh, you know what, Tuesday afternoon at 4 o'clock when I'm burned out, I'll schedule that to do that, or I'll do it on Friday, at 11 a.m. because I'll be done with everything else and my mind will still be fresh.
Yeah, absolutely. And we follow the like Monday through Thursday, we work in the business, and then
Mhm.
Fridays we work on the business. So
Yeah.
Fridays are kind of dedicated to like some of the more like lead generation-y AI stuff. That's why I host a class every week on Fridays at noon. It's free for everybody in the mortgage industry, and we just get live for an hour and like I'll build something while people watch.
I love
So
that.
we'll like build an AI tool or build a CRM workflow or build something, but it's designed so that I have to do it in real time while people watch because it helps them like follow along, do it on their own, but also see like, hey, this stuff breaks all the time and it's easy to fix. And it's like a way of getting people comfortable with technology as well. We do it on Fridays because Fridays is the day that we work on our business. And so I have an AI task that's set inside my chat GPT. And every Friday morning, what it does is it researches the local market of that particular loan officer. So if you're in Denver, it's going to go out and search all the listings that have come up in Denver. It's going to get a housing market update. If there's like local news that's come out about real estate or whatever, AI just like does a deep dive on deep research and it pulls up market information, what happened in the stock markets that week, all this stuff, and packages it into a newsletter. So I love your tip there of just like on Friday mornings, take 10 or 15 minutes to take all of those updates that you've got in your email, cruise through them all real quick and be like, oh, add that to the newsletter, add that to the newsletter. And you just like take the email, put it into ChatGPT, add this to newsletter. And all of a sudden, you've made that time suck productive on something that you can then send out to your past customers and to your real estate agents and to everything. So it actually becomes an effective use of time, not a waste of time. So awesome tip there, Todd. That's amazing.
Well, I mean, think about it. Even something as simple as, there's gonna be so many people are like, oh, I'm gonna get Chris's book AI 101 and I'm gonna read it. And then they're like, shoot, it's been 3 weeks and I haven't read it yet. And so again, what's that gonna look like for you? Is that gonna be your thing that you're gonna do while you're drinking your coffee in the morning, or are you gonna set that as one of your Friday activities? But I think you just have to really think about the things that you keep telling yourself that are important. And if you keep saying that, hey, I'm gonna learn AI, then why aren't you scheduled to be on Chris's calls on Friday so that you can actually watch him do it? Why don't you have the time scheduled then to read the book? And then why don't you have the time scheduled to create what he's talking about for yourself in Chat GPT or whatever tool you're using? But I hear so many people who literally say over and over, year after year, oh, this is a thing I'm going to do, and they just never do it. So at some point, you either have to say, gosh, that's not really important to me. Like I truly
Right.
in my life plan used to have, I want to learn to play guitar. And finally, after about 12 years or more than that, I'm like, I guess I don't really want to learn to play it that well anymore. I did take lessons with my daughter for a short period of time, and we were both terrible. But you know what? I finally took it off the list of things that I'm going to look at because it's also, it's dragging in my brain, right? That I've
Yeah.
got that. So either figure out how to take action or just get rid of it, clear the deck so that you don't have to worry about it. But I look at it like things like, I'm super excited about your book, and I'm like, okay, I got to do the same thing. I got to make the time to make sure that I read it, and then I got to figure out how to make the time then to execute on the things that I learn.
That's amazing. And so, with everybody seeing what's happening in the market, I think everybody feels the positive momentum, and it's fantastic. So, with what you do in Win by Noon, what's your advice to the mortgage industry on the activities that they need to be focused on right now to really take the greatest advantage of the market that's here and is going to, I believe, continue to come?
I think what's missing for most loan officers, whether they're super experienced or they're new, is really this is knowing their numbers. I mean, I know it's so
Huh.
basic, because I do think that we all know the activities we have to do, and
Mm.
so I'm hoping that you're going to figure out how to schedule those in the morning to get those things done. But then it's you have to know what I'm doing, the lead indicators that are going to lead to the lag indicators, the things I care about, right? Lag indicators are leads and applications and pre-approvals and closings. But the lead indicators is who am I calling or texting, who am I actually talking to and having a real quality conversation, and who am I meeting with, and figuring out how many of those things do I have to do up front in order to get the things I want in the end to close transactions. Because I hear a lot of companies putting out it takes our average loan officer gets 3 applications to 1 closed loan. Okay, great. So let's start with that as the bar. But what is that for you, right? I was talking to a loan officer yesterday, and he said that he's working with a big team that has a lot of online leads.
Yep.
And he was giving me his numbers, and I'm like, well, it sounds to me like, you are, about 4 applications to a close. And he's like, oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that, right? So here's a really successful loan officer closing over 20 loans a month, but really not in tune with what they actually need from a numbers perspective to get to the goal that he told me he has for closed loans, number one. And then number
Mm.
two, I said, well, awesome. Well, how many people are you talking to a day? And he's like, I used to have that win by noon planner thing of yours, and I haven't been using it. So, it's just really having a way to hold yourself accountable to, okay,
Yep.
what is it going to take for me to get there, right? How many people do I actually have to talk to today if I truly want to close that number of loans this month, this quarter, this year?
I love that so much because one of the things that I hear over and over and over again, especially when business is increasing and people are growing, is that they feel overwhelmed.
Mhm.
It's just like and that leads to burnout. It leads to all kinds of stuff further on down the line that you can sustain for a small period of time. But if you don't give your brain the ability to be like, done today. I need to have 15 conversations today. It's like you can have 25 conversations in a day and feel like you're not done yet and completely overwhelmed if you never had the 15 in the first place. Like you can be highly effective, but if you haven't set the goal ahead, you just always feel this overwhelm. But when you do hit that target, then you're like, okay, good. I'll be back tomorrow and I can move to the next thing and I can feel good about because you've got a plan and you know what needs to be done in order to hit the goals. So I think,
Absolutely. Because once you know what that is, then that's your minimum standard for the day. And you have to say, okay, you know what? I said I was going to talk to 10 real estate agents yesterday, and either you did or you didn't, right?
right.
And then, okay, well, if I did, pat yourself on the back, give yourself a little high five for a minute, and then move on because the next new day starts at 0 and you got to get to 10.
Yep.
But what if you only got to 8? Then you have to say, okay, well, I'm only at 8. So that means in my world, my new goal today isn't 10, it's 12.
Right.
And the same loan officer told me, he said, oh, his goal is 8 applications a week. 2 weeks ago he got 10. Last week he got 6. So he said, oh, I'm even. I'm doing fine for the last 2 weeks. I'm like, in my world, I'd be like, well, I got 10. Great. I overdid it. That's just a bonus. Last week I only got 6. So I'd be adding the 2 I didn't get to this week. And my new goal for this week would be 10. So I'm always trying to push myself a little further, a little faster to get
Yep.
there. And I think you have to figure out how to gamify it for yourself.
Yep.
If you don't have, if you're not part of a coaching group or someone else who's holding you accountable. And so that's really where Win by Noon has really helped me personally. It's my personal accountability tool, and I've seen it really help loan officers of all shapes and sizes, different levels years in the business, different levels of, loan closings, grow from it. And then I see right now just we're having huge success with small teams, even some big teams using it. We've been pretty fortunate to have a few big major coaching programs that you all know out there that actually use a custom version that we've created of the planner for them as well. So it's kind of fun to see a lot of people going old school again with paper and pencil, and actually put it to work. And these are, some of the names that you all know in the business that are doing this and supporting it. So it's been kind of fun, as you said, to see this resurgence in loans. So it's been actually really good because it's been a huge growth bump for me at Win by Noon.
Ah, that's amazing, Todd. That's so cool. Any parting thoughts, just because we are getting close on time, but just like for the industry with what's coming, what do you feel that loan officers really need to know in today's market?
Well, two things. One, I'm going to give myself a shameless plug. If you just go to winbynoon.com and use the code trial26 on a quarterly planner, it'll send you one for free. So you can try it. And if you don't like it, you just send an email and say, hey, cancel it. We'll still be friends. The truth is I don't actually see those emails. My other system is I've got a team member and her job is to actually answer my email, or filter my email, I guess I would say. And so people are always like, oh, Todd, I canceled Win by Noon. I'm so sorry. I'm like, I wouldn't know. So, so no need to worry there, but trial 26 is the code you put in and it ship you a free planner. So just check it out. But I think kind of when it comes to, what do you need to know? I think it really is going to be a different answer for everybody. And so I think the phrase I would write down to yourself is blind spots. What are the blind spots that I feel like I have? And I feel like most people just aren't investing time just to hit pause for a little bit. That could be 15 minutes for you. It could be maybe an hour or two for you, but really just look back and say, okay, let me just look at yesterday, or just look at, if it's, 5 o'clock, just look at today. Like, how did I do today? Like, what are the things that if I had a productivity coach or, some person that I respect, a mentor or something, and they were just sitting behind me all day watching me, what would they have said I did well? What would they have said that I probably could eliminate? What would they say I should do more of? And then really just give yourself a quick self-assessment, figure out what are those blind spots, and then really just figure out what do I need to do to correct them. Because the good news about this industry is there's so many people like you that are putting out great free content like this. So it's all out there. And so you just have to figure out what it is that you need to look at for you in order to get to the place you're trying to go.
That's amazing. That is such good advice, Todd. Yeah, that's awesome. Boy, I served myself a piece of humble pie the other day. I so inside ChatGPT, you can connect your calendar to it. And there's like an actual like connection that you can make. I turned mine off. I think it makes sense. So I actually wrote in a prompt of like set a task, and at the end of every day at 7 o'clock, analyze my calendar and tell me how effective I was with my time. But then I put separate time blocks into it because this is gonna sound super weird, but like I schedule time with my kids, I schedule time with my family just to
Oh,
like make sure that
that's why you're
that
a super achiever.
well, let's be, you're incredibly generous. I definitely have my faults, but boy, AI doesn't have any feelings. And so it will just straight up punch you in the face with how efficient you are actually being. And so I learned a lot from just having it take a look at a week of my time and being like, hey, in the business, what are some of the things? So I would take it and be like, hey, I'm part of this Win by Noon community, and here's what I'm working on. Hey, can you help me analyze my time? And I think that'd be a great activator for people to come into the community. So,
All right, I'm going to take the challenge on. I'm a little scared, but I feel like, I'll at least score above average. So that'll be
well,
good.
you will definitely do better than me, I think. So that is for sure. Todd, thank you for being so generous with your time. I know we've got winbynoon.com. Is there anywhere else where people can go to connect with you, follow you, get more information?
You just follow me on Instagram. It's just I'm at Todd Bookspan, and there you'll see my really reels is where, well, it's all in there. But I record short videos just about every day that are some thought or productivity thing I'm thinking about that'll hopefully help you be a little bit more productive, or at least have put a smile on your face most days.
That's awesome. Well, I enjoy the morning walks, so please keep it up.
Thank you.
Awesome. Right on. Everybody, thank you for listening. Make sure you go head over and check out Todd, and looking forward to seeing you in the next episode.